Okay, Eric, let's jump into it. Brad Holmes shocked the world on Thursday night when he picked Jahmyr Gibbs 12th overall, a running back out of Alabama, their leading receiver last year, a dynamic playmaker in space, and then doubled down on it at pick 18 and selected the best linebacker in the draft, one of the more athletic linebackers that you're going to see in Jack Campbell.
Stud.
And had a very interesting first round. Then, day 2, at pick 34, he starts the run on tight ends and takes Sam LaPorta out of, you guessed it, Iowa, because apparently he loves corn-fed boys.
Oh, yeah.
And then he gets Brian Branch, who fell and maybe is the best value of the entire draft.
Loves Alabama.
And then rounded out the third round with a pick of Hendon Hooker, which we all said was a great pick. So let's talk about these 5 guys. Coming into 2023, what are their expectations? And I guess we could start with the first 2, Gibbs and Campbell. Let's go round by round. Gibbs and Campbell, what are their expectations this season?
They're not low, and I don't think that should be a shock to them. I think Gibbs is coming in knowing his situation. I think he knows he's coming in replacing Jamal Williams, replacing DeAndre Swift. Swift didn't do a ton.
He's not replacing Jamal Williams. He's replacing DeAndre Swift.
Okay, fine. He's replacing the core
Mo
from
Ibrahim
last season.
is replacing Jamal
Williams. They're replacing the core from last season.
Yeah.
And we saw a lot of success from them. They were spotty throughout some games, but we're expecting these two, whether it's Montgomery or Gibbs, we're expecting them to be a very complimentary backfield for the next several years. I believe he's very, very explosive. We see the home run ability dynamic, especially when those holes open up for him. We know that he's unbelievable in pass catching situations. With the creativity of a Ben Johnson, we'll see him split out a whole lot and, they'll do a whole lot of razzle-dazzle type things that defenses don't prepare for. And I think the Lions do a good job of catching teams off guard with that. I think he's well aware that his expectations are pretty high at this moment right now. I'll wait for Jack Campbell. I want to hear you give your take on Gibbs first. But yeah, I think the expectation for them is to be one of the more dominant run games in the NFC. And I think they know that.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, though. Last year, when you had DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams as your backfield, there were games that they went silent.
Yep.
Were not complimentary to Jared Goff at all. And those were a lot of the games that the Lions lost. Mm-hmm. And I think when you add a guy like Montgomery, who can be a 3-down back between the tackles kind of runner, and then you also add in the dynamic playmaking ability of a Gibbs, who by some accounts may have been the best athlete in the draft. One of the...
Could argue.
Maybe a 1A, 1B to Bijan Robinson as far as running back prospects went.
Anthony Richardson too, yeah.
Yeah, there's no doubt that the fall off should not occur as often. Are they going to have bad games? Yes, They're going to have bad games. But when you're talking about a 1-2 punch that brings the type of punch that they have, you expect more consistency than we saw last season. Listen, Jamal got a ton of praise last year. 17 touchdowns. Great. He's set the franchise record. But how many of those touchdowns were over 2 yards? Not many of them.
Not a lot, no.
I think I can remember 2. I could be wrong on that number. It's not a fact, but like he had a long run against Seattle. I remember that because I was there.
Yeah.
But outside of that, it was all goal line touches. Mm-hmm. Not to mention when Swift is down and Jamal Williams was your option out of the backfield, oftentimes that was meant with drops. Mm-hmm. And when you're talking about bringing in Gibbs, who was Alabama's leading receiver last year, let's not let that fact go unnoticed. Mm-hmm. The reason Bryce Young had the year that he had was much attributed to Jahmyr Gibbs.
Right.
And that can't go overlooked as well. And so I think that this remaking of the running back room, getting rid of DeAndre Swift and sending him to Philly, getting rid of Jamal Williams and not signing him to an extension, I think just signals kind of what we talked about last night. Brad Holmes is ready to win, and he's ready to win right now. That may not bode well for the future 4 or 5 years down the road, but for the next 2 to 3 years, it's at least going to be really exciting. And oh, by the way, we also addressed the defense in the first round with the best linebacking prospect in the draft. So we can't say that they didn't address need, because linebacker, after signing Anzalone, was a need, and they addressed it. And I love Jack Campbell.
I think this is my favorite pick of the draft. This went from being what I was skeptical about, but I'm really high on Jack Campbell. I love the dynamic he brings. I don't know. I brought this up on the broadcast during the draft. Like, I had a worry about them just playing 2 linebackers. There were times, even in goal line sets, where they played 3 at a time. So they can still spread those out, maybe take a lineman out and then put a linebacker in to like offset for that. But either way, even if they don't, I think Campbell makes up a lot of the deficiencies that we may have saw with Rodriguez or with Anzalone. I don't think there's much to worry about in terms of his coverage skills. He's a sure tackler. He's very athletic, very explosive on blitzes. And I think he has, honestly, I think he is a very high chance to be a face of this defense. Like, I think Campbell has all the makings of being a very explosive player. We talked about it on the draft as well. His floor, we saw from scouts saying, could be a Leighton Vander Esch from the Cowboys, and he possibly could have a ceiling of Luke Kuechly. That says enough right there. And that's not, I don't think, an exaggeration. If you watch how he plays, it's not like, I don't think they're gassing that up. Like, Campbell plays with that fire. He plays, it's such a funny term, but he really does play like a Dan Campbell guy. That high energy, very physical, is going to give it 100% each snap. And I think he fits perfect with what this defense is trying to do. I love this Jack Campbell acquisition.
What's the big knock on Malcolm Rodriguez?
His coverage skills?
His size.
That too, yes.
Okay. Yeah. What's the big knock on Alex Anzalone?
I'll let you
My least favorite Lion.
I'll let you tell it.
It's his coverage skills.
Yes.
What does Jack Campbell have? He has size.
And coverage
and a 92.9 coverage grade from PFF.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Check.
By the way, you want to know how much I dislike Thor Anzalone?
Please tell me.
Captain America, baby.
Troll. What a troll. You knew what you were doing.
I had to. I was like, man, okay, whatever. But no, so I think Campbell is, like you said, I mean, did you even watch the call that they made to him? The first thing Dan Campbell says to him is, "Hey, I like your last name." Like, okay, welcome to Detroit, another Campbell. But listen, all joking aside, Jack Campbell is, I think, a perfect player for the Detroit Lions.
Yep.
No doubt about it. You're going to argue 18 was too high to take a linebacker, sure. And yes, Patrick Queen, who was a first-round linebacker for the Baltimore Ravens, hasn't had his fifth-year option picked up. I understand all of that, and positional value, I get that. But when the guy's there to be had, they went and got the guy to be had.
Yep.
And he's a perfect fit for the Detroit Lions, and I hope he's much more Luke Kuechly, obviously, than Leighton Vander Esch, but even Leighton Vander Esch is not terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, he's serviceable. He's a face for the Cowboy defense.
We'll go with it. We move then to the second round. They draft at 34 Sam LaPorta.
Yep.
And then I think it was 48. They grab Brian Branch, the kind of Swiss Army knife secondary player from Alabama. Maybe the steal of the entire draft.
Maybe, yep.
How do you feel about them going tight end that early? And what are your thoughts on Branch?
It worried me a little bit. Just because I think, as we've talked about all offseason, a lot of the emphasis we wanted to see was on defense. But tight end was a need. Tight end was a position where I think it can tip the dynamic of their offense. And, I mean, we're talking about, the dynamic between Dan Campbell. Again, he's a former tight end, and they have treated tight end like it's an irrelevant position on their roster. So bringing in LaPorta at this point, where I think he could start day one, He a perfect fit for what they need. He should, absolutely. 6'5", 240, 250, if I'm not mistaken. Very, very good pass catcher. And very everybody quick. Having TJ Hockenson PTSD, turn on the tape. They're not even close to the same.
I'm one.
You're one of them? They're not even close to the same player.
Very hesitant. Because I was like, Another tight end from Iowa?
It's
That didn't
crazy.
work out so well for us.
It's crazy that was the history to it. But if you watch them play, they're not even close to the same. Like, Hawkinson's a guy where if you scheme him open, he can run and create some yardage off of that. LaPorta's very good at catching passes in traffic, breaking tackles, running after catch, and being a matchup nightmare. We hear that term a lot, especially back from the Calvin Johnson days. You need to have at least one matchup nightmare on your roster, and I think this guy is it. In the red zone, I think he's going to be a terror. He's not a great run blocker at this moment, but with his effort...
You don't need him to necessarily be a great run blocker
bingo.
Because you have James Mitchell.
James Mitchell, yes. And you're lighting up to two of the best tackles in the NFC. I think they're in good position to where he doesn't have to be relied on as a primary unbelievable blocker. But I love his fit with this offense. He's going to be a significant upgrade.
So these three players that we talked about, Gibbs, Campbell, and LaPorta, expectations for them are immediate contributions to the offense and day one starters.
Yes. Yep, agreed.
Brian Branch is kind of in a packed secondary room.
Yeah.
But he is a hybrid kind of safety that covers like a corner, not afraid to tackle. A lot of comps to Tyrann Mathieu.
Yeah.
What do we expect from him day one?
I'm not expecting a ton right away, to be fair. I think they're going to use him a lot as a depth guy. You're not, unless he is just killing in practice, it would be very troubling to see him start as your nickel over a Chauncey Gardner-Johnson right away. That would worry me.
Don't know if Emmanuel Mosley is going to be ready for the start of the season, though.
Okay, then that helps. If that's the case, if he's still recovering, again, that's why they went so heavy on adding as many bodies as they did. And if that's the case, and if Branch has to play right away, I don't have a lot of worries. Again, it's not an easy, transition from from college to the NFL as a DB, but given his skill set as a great tackler, very good coverage guy, I don't have any worries about how he's going to transition. Like, I think he's in a perfect situation with the veterans around him where CJ Gardner-Johnson has said, hey, put it on me. I want to help these young guys. I want to cover everybody and make sure everything is on point with this defense. I think he's going to be a great learning influence for him, and this is a perfect fit for Branch. And I cannot believe he fell as low as he did. Like, I'm still shocked by that. Great fit, great pickup.
Yeah, I am very, like, our secondary, somebody mentioned it last night on the line. They said, on paper, has there been a better Detroit Lions secondary?
No.
And it's really hard to... Here's another thing, too, that we really haven't mentioned. We don't know when Tracy Walker is going to be back.
Right.
So could you have a back two of Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch to start the season? Very, very possible, right? Immediate impact. A guy that's going to be able to fill a lot of holes and be very versatile and give Aaron Glenn a ton of different options for looks, which is going to be a lot of fun, specifically as this team tries to, become that top 20, top 15 defense in the league. And if they are anywhere top 20 or above in the league, you're looking at a team that is no doubt one of the favorites in the NFC. Because the offense we know is going to be top 5. I mean, there's, barring some tragic injury, for sure, that always has to be the caveat. But this offense is really good, and it's going to be really good, and it's going to be very dynamic, and it's going to create, like you said, even without J-Mo those first 6 games, you're still going to be able to create a lot of havoc when it comes to matchups. With LaPorta, with Gibbs, with Montgomery, with Amon-Ra, with Josh Reynolds and Marvin Jones and Antoine Green, who has a great opportunity like we talked about.
Yes.
It just sets up for a lot of excitement. Now listen, we can be as excited as we want. Let the future worry about the future. That's future Detroit Lions fans' problems. Okay? All we're concerned about is 2023, 2024. That's all that matters right now.
Well, that makes it hard for this next pick then, because
it does a little bit. It does a little bit, but this next pick in Hendon Hooker kind of helps you kick the can down the road a little bit farther. if he solidifies himself. So expectations for Hendon Hooker in 2023 are nil. Yes. There's no expectations.
Agreed.
The only thing I care about Hendon Hooker is your knee healthy and have you learned the playbook? Mm-hmm. I do not care if you step foot on the field. In fact, I don't even want you to step foot on the field at all. Even if it's to take a snap in victory formation, no. I think he should be holding a clipboard. I don't think his helmet should even be brought out of his locker. And he is just there to learn. Be a sponge, as he told the media.
That's what he said he'd do, yep.
And I think that he will be. And I think that he has the potential to become a really decent starter. He's not going to be an all-world player.
No.
But could he be a quarterback on a championship-level team eventually? Maybe. And at worst, he's going to be a really solid backup. He's going to become, at worst, Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, I can see. I actually can see that. I see some of the effects of their games. And you just said it. You said it's important to live in the now for Lions fans. Man, I'm struggling with that. Because I love what this dude brings. And I like that Brad Holmes was thinking towards the future as well in some of these positions. I talked about them being in positions where they could do a drafted stash. He's the most favorable person that you could do it for. If it was an Anthony Richardson, there could have been some clamoring to play him early off the first couple Goff interceptions. No matter what Goff does, nobody's going to be in the crowd saying, son fell. No disrespect if you're watching. But the point is, nobody's going to be checking for him. Hendon Hooker has all the time.
And even if he is watching, it's true.
It's true. It's true. You know we're right. Come on now.
Yes.
He's in a position, I think, like I said on the live, more favorable than any other rookie. I think the other guys ahead of him are going to be starting right away. They have a lot more pressure, and the Titans situation is just a horrible situation all around. But yes, he's going to do exactly what you said. He's going to be taking that time to learn. He's going to be taking that time to talk to Dan Campbell, like learn the flow of the offense, learn the speed of the game. And in 2024, maybe even next year. I mean, it could be a long, long wait until we see him. But if the rewards of a winning team are the reason why, then I'm all for it. But I agree with you on what his floor and his ceiling could be for this team.